Hey, everybody. I'm here with Jim Earl and Ron Placone, and we're talking about the resistance. So Glenn Greenwald tweeted this out. He said, the top Democrat in Washington, their Senate leader, Chuck Schumer, who doesn't know it's stupid to walk around like this. How the fuck do you not know that this is a bad look?
Maybe because you don't know your ground game was complete shit. Maybe.
Hey, it got Benjamin Franklin a lot of chicks.
This is it. This is Chuck Schumer's look. This is his look. Like that. If that doesn't tell you, so how does a guy who's that unaware become a leader? Because he gets the most money from Wall Street and he gives it out to people. That's how he becomes a leader. He's not a leader.
You know, Jimmy, I think because he had his glasses like that, it prohibited him from seeing Wisconsin on a map.
Ah! Here is a very brief summary of some of my favorite Ben Carson quotes. Well, first of all, the Human Rights Campaign denounced his remarks recently by saying, quote, Ben Carson can't go a week without invoking reckless and irresponsible stereotypes about the LGBT community. And his suggestion that transgendered people be required to use segregated bathrooms echoes an ugly past our country should never revisit. So that's him being for segregated bathrooms, a black guy, which is nice. And then the Human Rights Campaign had to denounce him for it. That's one. Here's another one. Here's a direct quote from him when he was on with Chris Cuomo on CNN. He said, a lot of people go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay. So did something happen while they were in there? Ask yourself that question.
He's insane.
He's an insane person. That's a doctor saying that.
He understands how consent works.
I don't think he understands how sexuality works. I don't think he understands how sexual orientation works. You can't change your sexual orientation. Here's another quote from him. Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery. It's another Ben Carson quote. Here's one more. And it is in a way. It is slavery in a way because it is making all of us subservient to the government. And it was never about health care. It was about control. Okay, that's Ben Carson. On a separate occasion, Carson suggested that Obamacare was worse than 9/11, though he walked that back next day. Guess who?
That's going too far.
I was a little over.
Oh, that was a little over. It's still way worse than slavery, but 9/11, that's too much. Rudy Giuliani's sad right now. We got to tone it back.
Guess who voted to confirm him? Our progressive stalwart in the Senate, Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren took some heat for this, I guess, and so she did a Facebook page, and here her Facebook page starts out by saying, "Okay, let's talk about Ben Carson." That's how she starts. She says, yes, I have serious concerns about Dr. Carson's inexperience to lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Yes, I adamantly disagree with many of the outrageous things that Dr. Carson said during his presidential campaign. Yes, he is not the nominee I wanted, but the nominee I wanted is not the test.
What the fuck is the
What?
test?
Why wouldn't that be the test?
And she just disagrees?
So she's going on. She says millions of American families depend on HUD's programs, including tens of thousands of families in Massachusetts. For many of them, HUD assistance is the difference between a safe, stable home and a life on the street. As someone who has spent a lot of time working on housing policy in this country, my focus is on helping these families and the countless others who could benefit from a stronger agency. During the nomination process, I sent Dr. Carson a 9-page letter with detailed questions on a whole range of issues: Section 8 housing assistance, lead exposure in public housing programs, programs to prevent and end homelessness, programs to help victims of domestic violence, fighting housing discrimination, HUD's role in preparing for and recovering from natural disasters, and more broadly, the standards he will use for managing the department, including the steps he will take to protect the rights of LGBT Americans. Dr. Carson's answers weren't perfect. But at his hearing, he committed to track and report on conflicts of interest at the agency In his written response to me, he made good, detailed promises on everything from protecting anti-homelessness programs to enforcing fair housing laws, promises that, if they're honored, would help a lot of working families. Can we count on Dr. Carson to keep those promises? I don't know. People are right to be skeptical. I am. But a man who makes written promises gives us a toehold on accountability. If President Trump goes to his second choice, I don't think we'll get another HUD nominee who will even make these promises, much less follow through on them. So she's saying the next nominee might be worse than Ben Carson, so I'm going to go ahead and vote for Ben Carson.
Translation, he had somebody competent help him out, help him write out his answers,
Right.
which were lies because he backtracks on everything.
Right.
You know, to backtrack on her original statement here is he made some comments that I adamantly disagree with. You don't just disagree with those comments. You fucking condemn them.
Yes.
Those aren't the kind of things you say, well, that's inappropriate. Or I don't agree.
Right.
That's just shit you condemn.
I know
Yeah.
I'm an elected official that's expected to uphold principles that got me this position, but it's not about me. Wait, what?
Well, so she's basically saying, hey, the next guy Trump nominates might be even worse. Because that's just how the Republicans play it, too. Remember when Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland, how they said, we better confirm him because Oh, they didn't even give him a hearing for a year. And now we still don't have a Supreme Court justice sitting on the Supreme Court who's a progressive. And here was like, well, the next one might be worse, so...
I'm going to vote for this rock because they might bring up a turd next time.
Here's my question, and this is my question for all these people voting for these nominees. What do you get out of it? What does Elizabeth Warren get out of that? What does she get out of voting for Ben Carson? Vote against him and say you oppose this bullshit. Well, the next one might be worse. Vote against that one too.
Yeah, but is she actually skeptical? It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't add up. I'm skeptical of religion, so you know what I do? Don't go to church. That's what I do. I don't be like, well, I'm going to go here because the Mormons are probably worse. Like, no, I just don't go to church.
There's a little bit more to her apology. She says, if Dr. Carson doesn't follow through on his commitments, I will be the very first person he hears from.
Wow. I will write him a strong letter.
Oh, I will make a Facebook post that will make his ears burn.
There's going to be a video, and it's going to be sad.
Maybe she's going to tell him to cut it out.
I went to Wall Street, and I told him to cut it out.
And they did.
She says loudly and clearly and frequently, I didn't hesitate to criticize past HUD secretaries when they fell short, and I won't hesitate with Dr. Carson, not for 1 minute, right after I vote to confirm him. Boy, this guy's in for a hell of a time after I vote to confirm him. This is the resistance. This is the best the Democrats have. Elizabeth Warren. It's the best they have. I understand that some people might have made the call differently. Some people. I appreciate your making your thoughts heard. Unlike the new administration, I don't believe in ignoring or silencing people who disagree with the choices I make or the votes I take. We've got a lot of nominees to consider and a lot of places where we need to turn up the heat under the Senate Republicans. Yes, Betsy DeVos, I'm looking at you and Pruitt, Mnuchin, Pudzer, Price, Tillerson. It's a long list.
That includes everybody. Everyone's on that list. All the picks are on that list.
But not Ben Carson? Ben Carson to leave off that list? Either way, we need all of us in this fight. You're not in the fight if you're voting to confirm him. That's the opposite of fighting. Your voices are powerfully important, and I hope you'll keep speaking up for what you believe in.
My guess is that she got some kind of discount on brain surgery.
That must be it. Ah, Elizabeth Warren and the resistance!